Okay, how about drawing polygons and stars inside Illustrator? No problems. You know, I've hit Command A or Control A yet again, and I've deleted everything out of my document. I'll head back over to my little shape flyout inside the toolbox, and sure enough, there's my polygon tool. I'll grab him. And the other thing I was going to show you as well, before I start drawing shapes here, is sometimes you'll find, as you're working inside Illustrator, that your artboard is kind of getting in the way. He's obstructing your work. So you can always go up to your View menu here if you like, and you can go down to Hide Artboards, which is actually something that I do quite often. Now I'm not restricted by that 8.5 by 11 page size. I now have a full range that I can work inside of. Now back to polygons here. All I do with my polygon tool, once again, just click and drag to draw out some polygons. Very, very easy stuff. Really nothing to it. Now something else I can do as I'm dragging out my polygons is use my up arrow on my keyboard or my down arrow on my keyboard, and what that will do is automatically add or remove sides to my shape. So as I'm dragging, I haven't let go of my mouse yet. I'm using my down arrow key, and that removes sides from my polygon, and I can go down to a minimum of 3 sides for my polygons, or the up arrow will add sides to my polygon. So you can certainly add or remove as many sides as you'd like for your different polygons. As a matter of fact, this is a great tool. You may have noticed inside the toolbox there's no triangle tool, and that's something that a lot of people want to see inside Illustrator, but it's all a part of the polygon tool. So there you go. And you know what? Notice that as I'm drawing out my shapes here, the tool remembers the last number of sides. I set it to 3. Even if I go off the tool and I go and do something else and then come back to it, it'll remember that the last set of sides that I had used was 3 in this particular case. And of course, as you've seen with the ellipse tool and with the rectangle tool, I can always single click with my shape tools to get into my dialog box, and that will of course give me some precise control over my object here. So I can set a radius here for my object. I'll type in 5, and of course the number of sides here that I want as well. I'll type in 9 here, for example. Click on OK, and there's my object there. All right, now I've completely cluttered up my screen, so once again, Command A here on the Mac, Control A on the Windows side, and get rid of everything. There's your polygon tool. Now, how about your star tool? Well, I'm going to head back to my tool flyout, and I'll choose my star tool. Now, when you want to draw out some stars, boy, I'm sounding like a broken record here. Click and drag, no big deal, right? If I want to draw a star but keep him nice and straight as I'm drawing him out, I could hold down the Shift key, and that's going to lock him in there. Of course, I can always single click with my star tool and get my dialog box. I can set radius 1. Now that's the length of the points on my star, and radius 2 is the dip, if that makes sense. So for example, here's the point and here's the dip. So that's radius 1, and this little spot in here is radius 2, and of course the number of sides here as well, if I like. There it is there. Now, what I could do as well, just like my polygon, is as I'm dragging out my star here, I can use my down arrow key to reduce the number of points, or my up arrow key to increase the number of points. Could do that if I like. I can also hold down the Option key or the Alt key as I'm dragging, and that'll have an impact on that second radius, if you recall. So here's a star that I'm dragging out without holding down Option, and now I'm holding down Option, or of course Alt on the Windows side. Or here's something else. Try holding down the Command key as you drag, and you can extend the points of your stars, something like this. So again, that was radius 1 that we saw back in this dialog box when we single click. So radius 1 is the point, radius 2 is the dip. That's how it works. I'll just cancel that out. So there's a quick look at drawing polygons and stars inside Illustrator. And of course, don't forget, if you're drawing out a lot of these shapes inside your artwork, don't forget you have these little tool tearaways that you can use. So I could just drop this guy on here and switch between all of my shape tools as I go. One other tool I'll show you real quick is this guy right here, the second guy in, the rounded rectangle tool. So what he's going to do for me is create rectangles with these rounded corners. So as I'm dragging out with the shape here, I can use my up arrow keys, and notice what's happening to my corners there. So the up arrow key is going to increase that corner radius. The down arrow key is going to remove or reduce that radius. Or of course, I can always single click with the tool and wind up here the width of the object, the height of the object, and the amount of that corner radius. So let's say I'll do 3 inches by 3 inches. Again, I'm just using tab here, and I'll try a corner radius of 1/4 of an inch. I'll click on OK, and there's my object there. So there's a look at creating stars and polygons and of course rounded rectangles here inside Illustrator.